Hello, me, everybody. It's MicheleMarieDalene. Today is the 3rd of the month of December, and of course, today is Bill Day. A couple days ago, Angela asked me if I ever talked about my childhood. I did. About a year ago, I talked about my childhood. So let's get started with the most obvious question. Okay, how did your childhood, what was it like? Well, like a lot of children with handicaps, one of the first things is there was a lot of uncertainty of how to raise me, because my family, like I said, had no experience with handicaps. And I guess that's not uncommon for a lot of families, and when it comes to children who are handicapped. Because you remember, when a child is born, the parents are hoping the best, that the child will be able to carry on the family legacy. And then they find out, depending on what kind of handicap the child has, that they can't carry on the legacy. Okay, Mr. Cat, come on over here. I'm talking about Fame, of course. Kitty Cat, I see you. He's skulking around. There he is. You can see, by the way, he finally put some bulking up a little bit. I've been feeding him turkey every day, and giving him a lot of turkey fat. I'm not trying to clog him up with cholesterol, but what I'm trying to do is to get him to fill his coat, and I think I've done a pretty good job on that so far. Anyway, so you're gonna sit down and you're gonna just keep licking me all day. Oh, okay. So let me get back to the main topic. My childhood. So as I said, my parents, like many parents, wanted their child, in this case me, to carry on a family legacy. My family's been in the construction trades for generations, and who knows, maybe my great grandfather on my mother's side, or maybe even farther back than that, worked on Viking ships, or worked building docks and things like that. I don't know. They probably did. My mom's side is pure Norwegian, definitely Viking ancestry. My father's side, it's debatable. My grandfather, my dad's side, his last name is Mellenstadt, which is actually a German name. It's not actually it's not even Norwegian. There is a little bit of Italian too, but mostly predominantly my family is of Germanic ancestry, but we do have Italian ancestry as well. The main problem that we have is my grandfather was adopted by the Dalene family, which was also of Norwegian, possibly other ancestries mixed in too. So my family was created pretty much, we were grafted onto the Dalene family tree. And so that's a little bit about background about my ancestry. No, I don't have a coat of arms, herald, or anything like that in my family. If I did, you'd probably see it mostly just involves a hammer, a saw, and a field. Oh yeah, and some wood. That's because my family was more into construction trades than anything else. Well, I certainly know how to construct and build things. I also know how to trash and destroy things. Sometimes in construction, you have to do demolishment or demo to build up. You have to sometimes tear down. Not an issue. I got both cats here today. What are you doing, kitties? Huh? Checking each other out. Frame, I don't think he got any right now. If you know what I mean. Okay, well, they're terrible. They're not terrible. In some ways, I'm glad to see them here, because they means I know they're okay. Yeah, but still, they're terrible, because they keep interrupting you. Yeah, you do. You guys do. I don't try to be offensive about it, but sometimes you guys can be a real pain in the ass. You know, like, why can't you just lay on the table instead of just jumping around all the time? Okay. So, anyway, in this lifetime, let me give my background, okay? Since, obviously, I want to try to keep these videos less than 30 minutes. I always try, but sometimes they run over. I was born on February 13th, 1968, okay? And I was not discovered to be legally blind until 1973, okay? That's when it was discovered that I couldn't see very good. So ever since I was a child, I mean, I was always fascinated by a lot of different things. I was very precocious. I had to be, when it came to, even at a very early age, I was very I was very, very obstinate. I was very, very assertive. And if there's something I liked, I let you know it. I still do today. And one of the things I loved as a kid is gas. Gas lighting, gas heating, gas cooking, gas refrigeration. I also like playing around with fuses and, circuit breakers and things like that too. So I was a little bit of a geek. Yeah, that's me. Okay, so in other words, not only could I light your pilot, I could also wire your house with the proper 220 circuits. Of course, granted, when I was a child, I did not know the details of the National Electrical Code or the American wire gauge, but I'd learned that when I was in high school. Actually, I started to learn that long before that, when I was actually in middle school. I started to learn about the advanced electrical code and things like that. But so I spent more time in the library studying books, very much like Elsa and Frozen, learning, cramming, studying, and going home and trying things, tinkering with things, blowing things up, unfortunately. I have blown up enough things in my time, trust me. And not meaning to blow them up. I have blown transistors to smithereens. I have blown small electrolytic capacitors that were polarized, speaking non-polarized alternating current and reverse polarity at high voltages through. I was messing with tubes and stuff when I was about 5 and 7. So I had a lot of skills, except in the social areas. When it came to socialness, no. I did not have any social skills. I spent more time alone, because a lot of times I liked it that way. It's just like sounding cool in the gang, and that's the way I like it, I spent more time by myself. I did start to venture out into social circles as I got older, but that didn't really start happening until I was a freshman in high school, when I really started to be more involved with people. Prior to that, as I said, I stayed to myself. I did my own thing, and I didn't let my handicap get in the way. My legal blindness wouldn't let it get in my way. Glasses? Fuck them. I didn't wear glasses either. In fact, last time I never even wore glasses even in school. But then I started to wonder if, on my own, if not wearing my glasses in school was, kind of limiting my abilities. So I kind of began the process of reevaluating my objectives in life, which was to learn. And obviously, if the teacher's drawing something on a blackboard and I can't see the damn thing, then I need to find a way to preserve the information. I have a fantastic mind. I can still store data. I can still store figures. I can still keep things in my mind for years. I have a very rich oral tradition. I spend a lot of time between reading. This is BC now. This is before computers. I didn't get my access to my first home computer that was truly my own computer until about 1980s. So everything prior to that time was books. I mean, that's pretty incredible to think about it. Books. 1968, I was born. In 1978, I was reading books, and I was starting to read books on computers and starting to study the TRC Model 1 in computer magazines and starting to see computer programming languages, but I didn't really have a computer to play with, so a lot of the stuff I was seeing was more of a kind of a guess than anything. So it was just really, very interesting time for me to be part of the beginning of the computer revolution. But I was still a homebody, and I was still a nerd. And actually, I think I was more of a geek than a nerd, because, no, you were nerdy. You weren't really much of a geek at all. Because geeks usually are more socially outward, and you were much more introverted. Yeah, I was kind of like Elsa. I would spend more time in the studies and reading and researching than even going out to play ball or play with my friends. I didn't have any friends. No, not really. You just had acquaintances. I just had a few acquaintances I hung out with, but they were kind of used to my eclectic nature, so they never kind of made a big deal about it. You want to help me out with this? What do you mean? You asked me the questions because I'm really... Otherwise, I feel like I'm writing a dating profile. Or you're not. I know. Okay. Okay, sure. I'll ask the questions. Okay, why don't we ask you the questions back to the first few years of your life? And by the way, yes, I know Michele's background. Of course you do. You gotta have access to my Akasha records. You're right, I do. In fact, I have access to Michele's Akasha records up until February of 2011. So I can fill in blanks in your life. Okay. So let's talk about back to your house in East Hartland, Connecticut, from the years 1968 to 1976. I was 8 years old when we moved out of East Hartland. I had just gotten done with first grade at East Hartland Public School. Yeah. Back then, they did not have hot lunch program at that school. I don't even think they still do. They do, but it's a little different than then. Right. But, okay, then you still only have back lunches. But what I remember was even then, I was kind of a loner. I did not really go out and talk to anybody. Like I said, I would go to the library. One days we would go to the library, my classroom. I would be there reading books, or if I was on the playground, I would just walk around the playground and just, sometimes I play in the sandbox. I didn't really do that. Of course, back then you were, I think, from the way things were, I think that shaped you as a personality. But even prior to that time, on the other side, you were very much a loner. I'm an intellectual. I'm part of the intelligentsia. I'm not just that. So for first grade, second grade, I tried to make my life better. I tried to fit in. I tried to build friendships with people. And I think I did begin the process with a few people. I also had, unfortunately, some very misunderstood realities of what I was supposed to be doing as a youngster. In some ways, I was like, I wasn't sure, what I was supposed to, what my seriousness in life, what I'm supposed to be doing. I just kind of was like, Am I supposed to make friends? Am I supposed to meet girls? Am I supposed to meet boys? Am I supposed to, what am I interested am I supposed to have? What am I supposed to be doing with my time? And I didn't know. So you just kind of fell behind. But yet, I also know that you also had to deal with the sad reality that you grew up in a home where your father was an alcoholic, and that you had to deal with the all seriousness of his drinking. Even then, Loom, I love my dad, and I didn't understand everything that was going on with alcohol. Okay, I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. I don't really understand alcoholism. Back then, I certainly did. Now I have a better idea of what it is, but I always worried about my dad, even then, because I knew my dad was a very special part of my life. I mean, I was much closer to my dad than my mom, even then. So, that wasn't always true. No. Prior to 1976, my mom and I were very close. What happened? My dad ended up selling the house because his own floor laying business wasn't doing as good because of the energy embargo, and he wasn't making money, and so he had to file for bankruptcy. He had to totally liquidate everything. So he didn't go for 11, he went for Chapter 7 or something like that. Yeah, but the point is regardless of how you look at it, it still meant that for my dad, it was my dad was a tough cookie. I mean, that was a reasonable guy. He knew that you can't do anything if the economy takes a dump on you, so you just have to just hold on and do the best you can and hope to God that nothing else goes wrong. Right. So you obviously grew up with that kind of environment where your dad's, was a major part of your life. Yeah, he definitely is a part of my life. I mean, even now, I still think about my dad a lot. So I was very happy when my dad, in 1978, finally had his last beer and said, "I quit." He didn't go to Al-Anon. He did go to Alcoholics Anonymous for a while, but he finally put the beer down and said to my mom, "I quit. I quit drinking." Listen, he said, "I had it. I don't even know Michelle. I don't know her brother, and I don't really know her sister. All I know about them is what I could see at the bottom of a beer glass." And ever since that time, I've been very happy that my dad had made the best choice that he could to try to make amends with the things in his life that got messed up. And, my dad's a cool dude. I like my dad. What do you think would happen today if your dad was to come back to you and say, "Gee, I really like the fact that you have found, me to be so special in your life, what would you say to your dad today?" I would tell my dad that I understood that you were suffering from, a condition that is, is heredity. But I also would say is I understand the fact is that mom has a notorious habit of basically pushing anybody to drink. You see, because after that, my mom, after my dad was forced to sell the house, my mom's whole world was turned upside down. Originally a pure native from Norway, from Kristiansand, she wasn't ready to get away from the family valley. It's funny, we lived in the valley, and actually Dalene means of the valley, and they're actually in Norwegian and in Celt. Yeah, okay. So again, there's got that mixed heritage. So we lived in the valley. And it was a whole family rally, very clanny. And for some reason, my mother and I kind of started to go our own separate ways after that. And so I ended up really kind of just having to fend for myself. In one sense, I was very happy that my father was no longer going to be beating my mom up when he got home mad, drunk, because she would push him to the edge. But at the same time, I kind of felt like I was losing a lot of my innocence, even at that point. But they always say, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And as a North American snow queen, I have certainly spent many days getting to know what my limits were, what made me stronger, or what made me weaker. Let's talk about that real quick. Now, you always liked winter. I always loved winter. Okay, so you always had an affinity to snow and ice. But I still remember that you did not spend much time outside in the cold. I did and I didn't. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I did spend some time outside. But it was much more when I was younger. I was outside more than I am now. I mean, today I'm much more of an in-house person, but back then as a child, I spent a lot of time, going outside, walking around in the snow and the slush in East Heartland. And then when we moved into River Run Apartments in New Hartford, I still was walk around. I used to like to look in the dumpsters for stuff. You still deep down are a dumpster diver. Yeah, if I see a dumpster that looks like there's something interesting in it, yeah, I go over and check it out. Especially if someone just moved out, that definitely is that's when my curiosity gets piqued up. When I was living in New Hartford River Run Apartments, people were always moving in and out. Sometimes you'd find whole furniture there, TVs, couches, lamps, electrical appliances, and sometimes even non-electrical things I was interested in. And so, yeah, I would just kind of look and see if there was anything I could salvage, even if it was for parts. And that's just the way I was. I guess it didn't really bother me. Now, do you think that you have benefited greatly thanks to the modern age of computers? In some ways, yeah, I think so. But now we're going to jumping forward now into how far ahead you want to go. Let's talk about back when the internet was starting to show up. Oh, okay. That would be because I was on internet even in high school, in elementary school. I had access to both CompuServe and Delphi, and so we want to go back that far, even to the 80s. 80s, when I got my first Commodore 64 computer, about 1983, the big choice was CompuServe or Delphi. CompuServe was expensive then. I used to remember wincing at the bill every time I get it, because it was enough to basically make me squirm, because it was like, I was so terrified to go on there because you're paying by the minute to get on the CompuServe. So you had to basically make it fast. Yeah, you had to know what you're looking for and then get off. You don't want to stay in there for hours, because otherwise your statement would be enormous. Okay? So I would very rarely, once in a great while, I'd go into CompuServe and I'd look around and see what the latest story was on different forums and things like that, and get off. It wasn't, but I spent more time on bulletin boards than I did on CompuServe. Right. So you were always on the bulletin boards, looking up facts and putting item pieces together. Right. by the time right after high school, I started designing my own bulletin board, and it was called Pink Rose BBS, and that was the one that we started out in my bedroom, and worked fine for a while. But the biggest problem is twofold. Number one, the computer got struck by lightning and destroyed it, and that was one of the most interesting PC. That was originally running on my Technicolor Computer 3. But that really wasn't quite in high school, was it? No, it was a few years later. It was like, yeah, I think it was not too much later. I think it was after I came back from Arkansas. So let me see. Yeah, I think it probably was in the later period of time of the 90s, early 90s, and it was an interesting experience, but it was something that I didn't really have anything bad to say about it. I think it was an educational experience, or the bulletin board, but I don't really know if I would do it again. Because technology had changed. Even then, it was changed enough that people were starting to ask tough questions about what kind of software and stuff you could do with it. So anyway, let's talk about back up for a little bit here. After you graduated from high school, you went to Arkansas Enterprise for the Blind. You learned independent living skills. Yes, but that wasn't my first choice. Originally, I went there to take office automation classes. Office Automation Specialist for the Internal Revenue Service training course through Arkansas Enterprise for the Blind. Right. And I went and I talked to Mr. Robeson for the intake interview for the class, and he looked at me and he said, Michelle, he says, you are way overqualified for this course. You know more now before you even started than many of my pupils will know by the time they're done. He said to me, he says, I don't think it would even make sense for you to go through this class, because I think I don't think you would enjoy it, and I think you'd be bored to tears. You think he was right? The thing is I think about it now is when I know about the Internal Revenue Service and the courses and stuff, I probably would have hated the class. I mean, maybe not hated the class as much as hating the job, because I do a lot of stuff that would have been part of the office automation specialists I do here. For Jimmy the landlord and maintaining the wiring and the internet and the phone system. So yeah, I guess I would have probably been screaming my head off at the fact of, I mean, sure, it would make decent pay, but you would be miserable. I would be miserable, yeah. So again, I didn't really see any reason to want to go back to Connecticut right away. After all, I had a chance to get away from my parents' house for a while to learn how to be on my own. And I said to myself, I want to take independent living skills. I want to learn how to be able to manage on my own. And so I worked with the instructors there on the independent living skills class to learn how to do things as a blind person, because I was a school for the blind. I learned how to do housekeeping and things like that, but it's been so long. Now a lot of stuff is just kind of, I'm still using a lot of skills, but unfortunately I'm still not the cleanest person at all. You're no Oscar Madison either, because I've seen your house. You might have a little dirt here in the spot, but I don't see any potato chip bags or anything like pure recklessness. I see more of a person that is cleans up basically almost like triage. You go ahead, you clean up after you eat, but I don't see you like leave a long legacy of a mess. No, because I don't like leave a large mess because it stresses me. So you're not a clean freak. No, I'm not a clean freak, but I do like to keep things fairly organized. Okay, and we found out from our Enterprise for the Blind, the reason why blind people like that is because our whole life we need to basically remember what everything is. And by the way, I'm still looking for a top and I can't find it anywhere. You're talking about the purple one. We're talking about the purple top. This is a red top, but still looks good with the skirt I'm wearing. But it's not the top I'm looking for. Yeah, we don't know where that is. If anybody knows, I don't know. I mean, it's not in the laundry, and it's not in any of the drawers, and maybe we missed a bit outside or something. But if I remember, the thing had stains on it anyway. Yeah, it had stains, but did we throw it out by any chance? For some reason other than the stains in the back of the nape and the neck. I don't think it had holes. This has got more holes than that one did. But it's possible that it could have had holes. So, okay, so anyway, back to what we're talking about. You got done with the Independent Living Skills course. You came back here, Connecticut. You went ahead to the local college down the street. You decided to go for your computer programming course, your associate's degree in computer programming. Yeah, but I didn't want to rush into the courses. In other words, I didn't want to go full time. I wanted to take my time and go through slowly so I could absorb the information. Absorb is about the right word for you because you always seem to absorb information. Thanks. So you study with all the different courses. You took COBOL, you took Fortran, you took Unix, which helped because you already knew OS 9 level 2, so you already had a good idea what a Unix-like operating system was like. Yeah, and of course now today I use Linux. You use Linux and use OS 10 on your Mac. What do you think was the most special thing to you as far as it was when a couple of years later on, we'll talk about this, but we'll talk about it now real quickly. For some reason, the computer I felt was kind of like my right-hand man. I could do things in the machine that would help me to simplify my life. I mean, from doing the budgets, which I was doing even back then, to maintaining all kinds of stuff. The computer made it possible for me to build up a repertoire of software that made it possible for me to keep things organized. It definitely was definitely was a help, but I think that some ways it also was a hindrance too, because after a while you start to kind of develop a bit of a dependence on the machine. Which is something I really didn't want to become. But I guess with my eyesight and with the fact is that when it came to storing data, the computer was an asset. Because that's what you're handwriting, they're also encouraging you to type too. So you actually were typing in school. That was the real reason I got into computers, because I needed a word processor. I got stuck using an old manual Smith Corona typewriter in third grade. I hated the thing. So for me, it was a real asset when I got my first computer in my high school years, because I began the process of using the word processor, which is using Magic Desk type and file, which was a cartridge on my Commodore 64. I typed research papers on that thing. From what I understand about Magic Desk, that must have been a beast. Oh, it was a beast. You kidding? You sat there and you had to save and file every single page, except there ran into one problem. What? I didn't have a disk drive. What? I didn't have a disk drive. So I had no choice. I couldn't even save my work. So every time you had to make a correction on a page, I could correct. Once I punched the print key, my MPS 801 would spit out the paper, and that was it. I was done. And then I might as well just clear the computer section out and get ready to start typing the next page. So in essence, it was like a stored and forward typewriter. Yeah, it was like a typewriter. You could type in one page of text, and then after that, you had to basically print it, and then you had to erase the page and start over with the next page, and then do the same thing all over again. So like a 10-page research paper, like, took a lot of typing, and citations were a beast. Oh God, yeah, you must have had a real enough rough time with citations. Yeah, I had to figure a way to do footnotes, and that typewriter was only a 7-pin dot matrix printer, 7-pin dot matrix. So that meant that there were no true descenders. So the G and the P, lowercase g and P, were actually on the top of the line. That meant that some things, like some characters, were hard to see and others were really not too hard to do. I didn't get a 9-pin until a lot later, but that's what I had for a printer on my Commodore 64. And but so obviously that even today, if I use the computer, I still do typing on it. But I still do enjoy reading books. So obviously, for me now, my eyesight is my key issue in life, and I have to worry about eyesight even to this day. Yeah, I am. Okay, so let me just summarize this because it's running late. Okay, basically what it kind of was is your computer, you were kind of a quiet person. You stayed to yourself. You were nonviolent. You enjoyed the pleasures of the technical field. You enjoyed snow. You enjoyed the winter weather. You enjoyed Christmas. Yes. Okay. You liked school. I love school. I love school. I love going to school. I love learning. It was me. There's nothing more special than that. I love going to school and learning new things. And even though I graduated from high school in 1987, honey, I still enjoy learning. I'm always learning. Yes, she is. She's always learning. And so that sounds to me like you had a good time. I had a good time. Absolutely. Anyway, well, folks, that's enough of that for the time being, but I'd love to have you ask me questions. And if you've got any, please do not be afraid to ask them. We'll answer them for you one-on-one. And Angela, as like I said to you before, if you ever want to arrange to either be a telephone interview or an in-person interview, please don't be afraid to contact me below with the information I'm going to give here. To reach me, you can either leave a comment in this comment section below here, or you can send me an email to bicachela3@gmail.com. And if you would like to do a telephone interview with me, by the way, don't you think it's time we do another Ask Me Anything Friday? Sure, got time. Let's do it. Let's make this an offer. Anybody who wants to ask me any questions that I can answer by Friday, this is your chance. It's called Ask Me Anything Friday. And if you would like to, be interviewed by me on any channel or any video or whatever, just send me a private email to bicachela3@gmail.com. I will call you and we can arrange to do a taping, and then we can put that on our show. That sounds good. Yep. I got free unlimited long distance, so I can call anywhere in the continental United States, including Alaska and I think Hawaii as well. So we can ask questions and learn new things. Also, if you would like to make a donation to our operations, I'd love to have some help from you. You can send a donation to our GoFundMe page at http://www.gofundme.com/bichelA, or to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/bichelA. And if you'd rather send a private donation, you can send that to my PayPal address at bichelA3@gmail.com or bichelA3@yahoo.com. Yes, I have two PayPals. And that way we can help us to defray the operating expenses for these videos, and as well as begin the process of upgrading our equipment as we go along. Today, of course, will be a very busy day. Today is going to be bill paying day and hair day combined. Yes, that's right. And tomorrow is yank the damn tooth day. Ouch. I'm not looking forward to that one. Originally, me and Lumi had planned to cancel that, but like me and Lumi talked about, it doesn't make any sense to not do it because the tooth is going to just get worse and it's going to fall apart. How much is it going to fall apart? Well, it's like Nader's Wall. For those of you who know Winston, you know about Nader's Wall. Nader's Wall is a concrete wall crossing Dairy Queen that has long ago was fixed up. Long ago. And then the new adhesive concrete did not hold up to it, and it started to come apart. And thus the wall is a basket case. It's just, terrible shape. So Nader's Wall is not that good. No, it's not. It sucks. It sucks. It's in terrible shape. But the most interesting thing of all is the fact is that Nader's Wall is really kind of a interesting piece of work in its own right. So unfortunately for Nader's Wall, it's just like my tooth. You can only glue it. I mean, you can try gluing it together, but it would never hold up. It's a molder, for Christ's sakes. It's not an incisor. Incisors is just like a blade on a pair of snips. It takes a lot less force to chop through something. I mean, than it does to crush something. And so. It's just decided that more than likely the tooth is not salvageable, and just to gnash my teeth. I wouldn't gnash your teeth. That's how you broke it in the first place. Okay? Don't gnash your teeth. Just kind of just suck on them. And then just accept the fact that my teeth are old and they get a lot of abuse. And of course today the waste report, the waste report, the WASTE report says waste can get down to 42 inches. That's good. It's good. Yes. But unfortunately, for me, is what's bad is that I still got a bay window on me, and I still have the double chin, but just have to get rid of that overnight. So I'm making some progress on that. And also, like I said, if you still are interested in no more questions, don't be afraid to ask them. I will at least look at the questions and get back to you and let you know what's going on in my world and the life around me. But for now, I think it's time for me to let you go. Okay? So have your questions ready for me, and you can ask them in the comment section below, or you can ask them to me in private. I've given you the email so you can reach me. And tomorrow will be a not so fun day, but oh well, that's life, I guess. Like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions. Always be smart. Always ask questions. Always. That's how you learn. Ask questions, but challenge the answers. Not to be smart aleck, but to help to learn more about what goes on in the world around you. Always do that. It's always good for you. Always do what you need to do. Okay, guys. Gotta let you go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.